Mediocrity, also known as Memes 2, was the second April Fools operation launched by Potato MvM Servers. Except it didn't exactly launch on April Fools, it instead launched on March 30th of 2020 until April 16th, during which Madness vs. Machines was still going on. That's about it timeline-wise. Unlike its predecessor, this operation did not have its contest open to the public, but instead, a group of mission creators got together in secret to make meme missions, which is where the whole idea of private submissions originated from. This is also why when you look up this operation on the TF2 wiki, it is quite bare bones. So bare bones that they didn't even bother to make a poster and just reuse the launch poster from Memes 1 on the blog post. However, to provide a bit of context, basically the main lead of Potato, Hydrogen, was going to be leaving the community after Madness vs. Machines. There wasn't a whole lot of fanfare going around, and because they were responsible for maintaining the servers, the rest of the staff were busy trying to figure out how to continue Potato moving forward. Also, as we move further and further away from this era, the retrospective portions are going to be much shorter as there won't be a lot of formal documentation. Anyway, there isn't much to Memes 2 other than overtaking Madness. The mission lineup is much shorter this time around, though the operation would be the first to allow meme missions to have advanced and expert labels, both of which have one mission holding one of each label. That means there are 6 intermediates, 1 advanced, and 1 expert mission for a total of 8 missions across 7 maps. Although initially when it launched it had 7 missions and then 1 got added a few days later. I don't really mind the small scale of this tour to be honest, especially after Memes 1 where it had the most amount of meme missions and the least amount of things to remember it for. Regarding the popularity, I mean it was quite popular for its time. To be honest, there's not really that much reliable data on how popular it really got other than YouTube videos and the Steam group announcement having around the same level of engagement as the previous meme operation, and they were both much more popular than Madness and Canteen Crasher combined. Also, just a little side note, I did actually get the medal from this tour, and even around this time, I made an old video on it. I also don't remember this tour at all, and I strongly suggest you don't watch that video. But yeah, crazy how time flies, doesn't it? Speaking of medals, there were 3 this time around, all of which reuse the same models as before. It is rather unfortunate as Valve would discontinue having newer models for the medals past 2019, and even though Madness set the precedent that subsequent operations would support charities henceforth, Memes 2 didn't have its own charity medals as it was supporting Madness's charity. Anyway, the medals in question are the Mashed Mediocrity Potato, the Super Potato, and the Memer Motherboard. You can already guess which groups of people could earn the first 2 medals. The third one, however, can only be earned by the helpers of the operation. In this case, it's basically the playtesters who help with the mission makers in their secret club or whatever. The completion requirement for the Mashed Mediocrity Potato was far more steeper this time around. Rather than wasting 1 hour of your time playing the tour, you have to waste 3 hours of it. But they did reintroduce the traditional method, this time needing 6 out of 8 missions to get it. It is quite a large percentage of the tour to complete, but in spite of that, Memes 2 would basically set the precedent that the operations onwards require you to complete most if not all of the tour within their 2 weeks of runtime. Also, I should say that this is the last time that a medal will have a time-based criteria in order to earn it. As far as the missions from Memes 2 go, it's essentially the same as the first, meaning that visual changes, goofy templates, and custom sounds were all they could realistically do at the time. And unfortunately, there is still a lot of padding brought in by Madness vs. Machines. With all that being said though, jumping from Memes 1 to Memes 2, there is a noticeable jump in quality and humor, likely thanks to the smaller selection of missions, along with a dedicated group of creators that actually knew what they were doing. And in spite of not utilizing sourcemod, at least extensively, there were still a handful of things that these missions tried that previously weren't done before. The most notable technical steps were being able to replace the models of the bots, having the wave bars be fake and inaccurate to what is actually going on within the wave, and stat changes to various players and weapons, as well as a custom upgrade file. Although this was due to the times 10 plugin they utilized for the tour, before it got deprecated over the years and they had to substitute it with RefMod for its rerun. Humor-wise, in comparison to Memes 1, the missions here have largely done away with in-jokes like the Major Crits wave and repeating the same jokes over and over again across several missions, but instead, a majority of them utilize audio clips from various memes that went along with the gameplay.
Hey, build the helicopter. I'm off to the rescue. Prepare the lifeline.
It is your time to be not dead.
1. I come to make an announcement. Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker. You pissed on my fucking wife.
So, for the most part, the missions had their own separate themes that didn't necessarily bleed into the others, unless it was absolutely mainstream like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Minecraft, and Cock and Ball Torture. Also, this operation happened around the pandemic that was booming back then, but in spite of that, there were only brief references to it. That's pretty much it in terms of history. For the rest of the video, I'll be looking through each and every mission featured within Memes 2 and walking through what happens in them. However, moving forward in this series, I will be retiring the tier list rankings. Obviously, most of these missions were made to entertain you with memes at the time, time, so they're all rather outdated in today's day and age. But I've also begun to realize over time that meme missions are completely pointless to critique. I am sorry to all 19 people that wanted these meme missions reviewed, but I don't know about you, but there are way better things to criticize. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the video being plot summaries of the missions here. And as usual, I will still be running most missions solo because realistically it's the only way I could get HD footage in a reasonable amount of time. Stack Deck is a 5-wave mission that's all about playing cards. Each of the waves features robots relating to the symbols. In order, they are clubs, spades, diamonds, and hearts. Gameplay wise, it is rather standard with the occasional gags, like a trio of disco heavies appearing on the last part of the club wave, where they are gesturing in a way that looks like they are dancing. There's also a meme bot on the diamond wave, a support heavy that is immortal but only sits on top of the bomb, representing Crazy Diamond from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There's a chief heavy starting out the heart wave, a rather tall punchy with mittens going by Mr. Heart. The final wave will play out the rules card, where the entire wave symbolizes the Joker. Every bot has a jester hat and are all named Joker. Then the mission will cap off with a setup to a chief demo firing grenades all around that barely do any damage but knocks players around in the short range, symbolizing the bagpipes that it plays horribly in the beginning.
Mighty robot!
Incoming spy.
They got a bomb!
You have killed my spy.
There is no meme is a one-wave endurance. You might notice that the wave bar looks half empty, and the mission points this out by saying that there is no meme here. Obviously it's a bait and switch tactic, as the mission will go on longer than it suggests. The mission overall is rather basic in terms of gameplay. Obviously the visual gags mostly lie within the namesakes of every single robot, and the first half is a pretty obvious example of it. Once the wave bar empties out, the mission will thank you for participating before telling you to die. It will begin its second half with music as it sends out a death ball of giant heavies with low health. Then the rest of it will play out as a reenactment of the Heavy is Dead video. The mission plays audio clips of the entire video throughout, but with their voices altered so they sound more robotic.
The heavy is dead.
Spies are here.
There wasn't getting any lighter.
I will find him.
Despite the second portion playing in typical fashion, it does set up moments from the video, including the most iconic one.
I did it like this.
Building a sentry.
After this, you'll fight the Blue Engineer, represented by a Chief Shotgun Engineer. Then you'll have a cutscene towards the end of the mission with a Titan Heavy exploding at the front. Garden Warfare is a 6-wave advanced mission directly inspired by Plants vs. Zombies. We're talking custom music and robot zombies based on it. Unfortunately, because they couldn't figure out how to stop music from playing back then, ending the wave prematurely can have music tracks overlapping with one another. The mission warns of this fact by having groups of scouts dying in the beginning, letting you know the console command, but it can get really annoying when it does this for every single wave, as you will have to listen to the giant death noise being spammed constantly. Anyway, the mission is pretty much just Plants vs. Zombies. Not much to really say here. I mean, you basically have every single robot representing the various zombie types in the series. Even though the gameplay is essentially a shooting gallery, pretty much every zombie has their health increased along with a bit of ranged damage resistance. And there are some zombies that can be quite lethal, so you do actually have to try and win. The mission also quite long as well, where the waves can last around 46 minutes, adding up to around 30 minutes of success time. Also, I don't know why, but the meme asset I grabbed had the Prospector zombies have a billion blast radius and knock you around everywhere, even though in the old event they didn't have this. Just thought I pointed this out in case anyone ever encountered this when the mission reran last year. The final wave has the exact copy of the Spyro Shipping Titan cosplaying as the Zombot. It is invincible, but it drains health over time, meaning that the wave is basically a 5.5 minute long endurance of fighting everything at once. Circuit Board Torture is a 10-wave mission with a variety of memes per wave. First wave parodies the paid sponsorships seen on YouTube that we all know and love even to this day. Second wave has 16 seconds of nothing, followed by a puffer fish noise.
Another bomb!
Third wave has a few gag bots going around, those including T-posing giant snipers, demos shooting out explosive piles of cash, and soldiers shooting red lasers. Then it caps off with a Captain Punch cosplaying as bootleg Thanos. Fourth wave is a reference to Smash Brothers. You'll fight a few characters from the game before the wave ends prematurely, all thanks to a Nintendo lawsuit. Fifth wave is where you shoot a bunch of tiny robots pretending to be Legos. The last two giants, however, will be chief punches that fly and spin around like they're helicopters. Sixth wave is basically Fortnite. Many bots use varying amounts of guns guns, before capping off with a black hole that can suck you in and kill you instantly if you let it. 7th wave has charging ball crushers, several conch soldiers, and swarms of jumping market gardeners referencing Soundsmith, ending with a titan shovel soldier to the left of the front. 8th wave starts with a bunch of gas pyros and a train line of tanks, the first of which has sticky cannons.
I have come.
Join Smash.
You imbecile!
Before the wave transitions into Minecraft, you'll fight through several varieties of Minecraft mobs before moving on to an all-spy subwave where the giants shoot their revolvers and the comments will make you schadenfreude from behind. 9th wave is a Plants vs Zombies wave. Not much to it, to be honest. Then finally, the 10th wave has a bunch of robots referencing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You'll have giant engineers standing idly around the map, a reference to Sino's video, before bringing out the last JoJo reference being King Crimson, a jumping melee soldier that periodically sucks you in as it jumps towards you. Trash is a 5-wave expert, which I believe was the mission that was added on later. The expert label is as much of a meme as the mission itself. The only thing you need to be an expert at is not crashing your game or server. This is because the mission uniquely has super juicy weapons and upgrades, much to the point that it feels like you're on crack and shooting a billion bullets and projectiles at once. And you do have the money to buy everything right off the bat. Most of the stats and upgrades are multiplied, and getting all resistances makes you immortal against most of everything. Aside from those things, the waves are, well, it's rather standard. You just have a bunch of standard bots with meme names, and all of them have the trash can icon. Because of how cracked your upgrades are, the gameplay essentially boils down to a damage check, which isn't hard to bypass. Though the mission will occasionally try and stop you, whether it be robots spamming knockback effects, vaccinator medics, or randomly having flare and score shot powers pierce your resistances and one-shot you. These guys are rather bullshit to be honest, but whatever. Compared to the others, this can be the longest to complete at around 30 minutes. Wave 3, probably the biggest offender here, because you have the first half dealing with 4 beefy tanks and a bunch of spies. This can take around 3 to 4 minutes, give or take, and then you have the rest of the wave trickling in the rest of the bots that somehow goes on for an additional 6 to 7 minutes, adding to around 10 minutes of wave time, which is pretty crazy. Anyway, before I critique this mission further, we'll move on by mentioning the 5th and last wave. It's a very short one, which just has a beefy tank, and it also has 3 vaccinators supporting a chief soldier called USA Military Budget. If you have a spy, this wave can blow over extremely fast. Mayfield Heights is a 10-wave mission with a lot of memes going about. By far the most unique thing about this mission is that it fully replaces the models of some bots, which at the time was rather revolutionary. But let's walk through what goes on here. First wave makes a satirical reference towards people that constantly ask for when the medals drop, which the joke surprisingly still holds up to this day. It then has Will Smith rewinding the clock.
Stop. It's rewind time.
Oh yeah, by the way, this mission fakes out as wave bars. Waves 1 through 7 are basically the same wave bars from Metro Malice. Second wave has the had to do it to them guy, cosplayed by 3 T-posing demos representing parts of them. The rest of the wave has several robots replaced by the random class symbols, with the giants being floating guns. Also, their namesakes are all referring to money and DLC pricing. Third wave has a bunch of T-posing scouts parachuting from the sky, with the rest of the wave having robots spinning around, such as punching heavies, and a plethora of sticky demos with broken animations. Fourth wave starts with a dick flattening meme, followed by a train line of tanks idling. Also, it tells you to lower your volume before spawning them in, which is a somewhat nice gesture. Afterwards will be 2 fire vaccinator tanks making a 2 cities joke on how useless pyro is. Fifth wave has this giant heavy walking extremely slowly towards the front as gift boxes with revolvers come out and shoot you. The heavy's name tag says they are late to the party. Then you shoot down frogs and giant cows pocketed by mems. Sixth wave is empty. The mission simply wants you to laugh at the number 69 on the wave bar, before the wave ends by bombing the entire map.
Oh my god, JC, a bomb!
Seventh wave is cock and ball torture. It brings out massive quantities of major and minor leagues, giant manglers that can also slow down players, and giant powers towards the end. Eighth wave has its first half being a World War III draft meme. It brings out varieties of robots with related names, along with giant Natashas parachuting from the sky being referred to as Apache attack helicopters. You will also encounter scout bots being scared, being referred to as zoomers. The last half has a bunch of other bots, some referring to Fortnite, and the others being bird spies called call agents. Ninth wave, the last one of the mission.
Yeah, if I control rewind, I would want Fortnite.
Then you fight against a multitude of error signs. Killing off the chief will spawn both bullet and blast vaccinator tanks, which will send off the mission once they're both killed. Pisses on the Moon. This 10-wave mission is a direct inspiration from the Sonic Adventure fan dub, which to the internet is what you call a timeless masterpiece. For the most part, it takes audio clips from the video and matches them to the waves they're featured in, and occasionally it will time its jokes to the clips. First wave will warn you about bad language, which is hilarious because I doubt anyone cares. You'll get a single giant in this wave, which I'll just let this play out.
Blow the walls off of this place. Going up!
Second wave has a bunch of Eggman's bots of several varieties. It's also where the fan dub audio takes a back seat. Third wave insists upon having you deal with 100 tanks, when in reality it's just a bunch of bots using the same icon, with the punchline having a bunch of squishy tanks at the end. It's basically a reincarnation of the Major Crits joke, except everyone can understand it. Fourth wave starts with a bunch of SMG snipers, then you get a very loud conch horn afterwards. There are score shot pyros with a map-wide explosion radius, but don't do any damage. Then afterwards there's a whole bunch of gas pyros, punchies, and giant milk scouts. Fifth wave, a single audio clip from the fan dub plays for a bit.
I'm going to make sure that you watch my Vine compilations and I'm gonna make you perish.
But all you do here is shoot giants with common stats and commons with giant stats. Sixth wave, Marasmus turns on Halloween mode and you fight a variety of bots for a minute. Then a single clip from the fan dub plays.
Hey bitches! You didn't see me. You didn't think I had legs, did ya? I'm like Gru, except I'm the one before Gru. I'm Gru.
You'll fight Gru and a bunch of minions from Despicable Me, represented by a very stretched Chief Punchy and Tiny Mitten Heavies respectively. The mission opens the front upgrade station, but it trolls you for a bit. Then the wave ends by one-shotting the Chiefs coming out afterwards. Seventh wave, it now fully commits to the fan dub video.
My body used to be a regular shape.
Well, no. You're fat. Lol. I'm gonna go fuck your wife now.
What? You are not allowed to fuck my wife!
Afterwards, a giant brass beast comes out with a very slow spin-up time and shoots a nuke.
What the fuck? Is that Shadow's dick?
A reenactment of Eggman's Twitter moment plays out, killing 70 of his alternative accounts, before getting the Chief demo with a Madness medal icon, asking for medals as per their name tag. The joke is,
She had a diamond in her vagina?
8th wave has Captain Punch representing Dr. Eggman, gotta use melee weapons to kill it. The wave fully plays out the pisses on the moon bit, and if you actually take too long to kill it, he'll actually do it.
Except I'm not gonna piss on the earth. I'm gonna go higher. I'm pissing on the moon!
Unfortunately, because they still didn't figure out how to stop music from playing back then, even when you beat it, the audio still plays out fully. 9th wave has Eggman's nudes on the wave bar. You'll fight a variety of bosses to pad out the runtime before getting to Eggman himself, a shotgun heavy that is very cleverly designed in a way that they legitimately shoot piss out of their dick. There will also be a boss spawning in representing NASA. The 10th and final wave, probably the best wave bar ever designed. But yeah, you shoot down a lot of boss representing the letters of the phrase till you get to the end. Sonic music plays with Shadow leading the charge as a gun spy, while Rouge supports him as regular spies. When you kill Shadow, their name tag shouts out for Geneva, the guy responsible for Shadow's meme. There's a lot of weird shit that happened to them when I looked them up, but yeah, that's it. Donacdum is the last meme mission, and it's got 10 waves. The first thing I'll mention once is that the mission will constantly start out with Super Scouts over and over again, increasing in quantity over time per wave. It's an idea taken from one of the Madness vs. Machines missions, Rodeotron, which does the exact same thing but with armored Sandmans, and both will have one wave that will not start with them at one point. First wave has a variety of name tags popping up, those including punchies being referred to as thick, and there's a jumping Sandmans that in this mission refers to as femboys. There's a demo named Vibe Check that shoots out a nuke afterwards, which I didn't realize was there until I was several hours into editing this. You'll have a Sergeant Crits at the end that does 0 damage because it uses the rocket jumper. Second wave, you will grind through 99 punchies, and then shooting down a train line of tanks somewhere around the 1-minute mark. The last tank of the wave will spawn at the main doorway sitting idly, blocking most of the bots from getting through. The last punchy will walk out slowly to end the wave. Third wave has a bunch of Iron Kitten heavies and direct miss soldiers, along with Pole Nature's Super Scouts that well, pull you in. Essentially, the wave has its robots using weapons with their stats reversed. Fourth wave has a bunch of robots representing animal heads on the wave bar, with the punchline having a chief demo knight at the end, completely headless and with a horseman's head taker. Fifth wave starts by spamming a bunch of limited spy supports with a random steel gauntlet in between. There's Machina snipers that no-scope constantly, alongside a chief direct hit soldier named Big Slammo that deals triple the damage with 2.5 times the projectile speed. There's several flog powers afterwards, alongside giant downs that shoot cannonballs, bearing name tags, which is definitely an in-joke. Sixth wave is Minecraft, with the main bots cosplaying as several weapons and potions. At the end, you'll have a tank that is basically immortal, which is destined to be destroyed by the map's train, and the mission points their demise through messages in the kill feed. The seventh wave will have robots of several varieties wielding conches, where the next 3 to 4 minutes of it will have your ears blown out by the conch noise. 8th wave has several robots shooting out colorful lasers as disco music plays. There's also giant downwards that shoot arrows instead of lasers. The 9th wave is completely empty. This is also where the wave doesn't spawn super scouts as the first subwave. And then the final 10th wave, after killing 10 super scouts, you'll have a chief beggar soldier named Dumpster Dave. They have a lot of tankiness such that it's completely pointless to shoot it, so you spend a minute and a quarter waiting for it to suicide. Then the mission ends by commending you for it and with a crab rave emoji. And with that concludes Match Mediocrity. Not a whole lot to it, much like what came before, but the things that it set out to do in terms of how they were handled, as well as completion requirements, would establish what the subsequent meme operations would follow afterwards. Anyway, press the like and subscribe button, just like what my younger self should have told you back when I made a video on it, and I hope you look forward to the next meme event made by a completely separate MVM group, which would be the most significant revolution in the series, that being Starch Silliness.